The Cat Cafe.
Yeah, no, that clip is.
I'm
Yeah, they're in
sorry.
Cat Cafe. Go. No, I completely agree. I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought that up because I that clip was just like, all right, welcome back, everybody, to another wonderful episode of Banter on the Rocks. Got myself Tim here today, as well as John, of course. And first order of business before we jump into our topics is, of course, we want to talk about our brand ambassadorship with Find the Good brand. And Find the Good is focused on the good and building a community of people who want to help find that good. And with all purchases, Find the Good gives back 10% to Mental Health of America organization. And when you order, be sure to use our promo code BANTER805 and you'll receive 10% off your purchase. So that's 10% for you and 10% back to mental health. Remember to use BANTER805 for 10% off. And the mission for Find the Good is simple. Find the Good is here to get you through the bad days, the breakups, the ups and downs, and whatever stands between you and a smile on your face. And today is September 29th, Monday. Got to watch another doubleheader of Monday Night
hmm
Football, so we'll certainly start with some NFL talk coinciding with our banter takes. MLB postseason is among us, finally. Best
hmm
time of year for baseball.
Yeah.
And Ryder Cup recap, some golf we'll talk about, and much, much more. Um, Now, jumping into banter drinks of the week, I am back on a good drink this week. But beer's what I'm going with. Going with Modelo. It's always Modelo time. Never a bad day for it, in my
Yep.
opinion. Um, yeah, just back on Modelo time. The um, uh, energy that I needed last week got me through it, feeling much better this week, as is the rest of the family. So,
Good.
good positive news there. Yeah,
That's
back on a
awesome.
good health trend.
No, good. Glad to hear. It's always a bummer, but good. Good that that energy, some taste salud probably helped you kick some of it maybe a little sooner than normal. So
Yep.
never a bad
Cruise
thing.
through
Yeah.
that pack. Just
Yeah.
cruise through it. Yeah. Didn't even
It's that
last the
good.
week. It's that good.
It's
It's
that
great.
good. Yeah. No, today I'm just sticking. It's been a busy week. There's a lot going on. So just Jack and Coke, sticking with that. Always a good
Very nice.
go-to for us, or for me at least. Um and yeah, just trying to keep cool, busy, busy. Like I say, work life, dad life, and then podcast life. We got three full-time jobs, you know. So,
Yeah. It's a
but
grind, but it's a grind worth it.
yes, we enjoy coming on here on Mondays. So, as always, we'll head on to our next just topic. As always, it's our banter takes, and with every episode, what we've been doing is we've been going live on TikTok. Um, so if you're listening to this, you know we're always live on Mondays around 9 o'clock, maybe a little later, depending on how the the schedule goes for us. But join us to banter on there, listen to us live, engage with us. But our banter takes are when we each drop hot takes to each other. So we haven't seen these takes prior to right now, and we're going to defend them, like they're our own. And sometimes there's some chaos that unfolds from this, sometimes some great conversations. Some of these takes are very bold, some are outrageous, but all of this is sort of guaranteed to stir the pot a little bit, and we roll with it until we're either proven right or very, very wrong, which I'll say we've never been proven wrong.
That's right.
Uh,
We stand strong.
all right, so I
Excellent.
got Tim here, and Tim sent me my first take. So my first take. Tom Holland got hurt on set. So this is proof the next Spider-Man will be played by a stunt-proof AI.
Whoa.
Yes, there's a lot of AI talk in movies. But yeah, I saw that news of Tom Holland getting hurt doing some stunts, and um I think it's gonna make a change because when you get your movie star hurt, it's gonna hurt the whole movie in general because sometimes some of it can't get covered by makeup. So I think what was it like his eye or face a little bit that got a little messed up from some of the pictures I saw?
Yeah, yeah, and then overall, I guess concussion, head
Yeah.
injury, you name it. Yeah, but I think that's correct.
Yeah. So it's like it really could derail a movie and a movie of this caliber of how much this movie is gonna cost and how big Spider-Man is. It's not the most smartest thing to do, for your movie stars. One example also of like an actor getting injured was Dylan. I want to say it's Dylan O'Brien. But he was in the Maze Runner movies, and it was I think part one or no, part two of the last one, and he was doing a stunt, and he pretty much almost got like ran over by a car and his face got messed up and it delayed that last movie coming out I think like 2 to 3 years after it was like supposed to come
Whoa.
out because of that. He went through a lot of trauma. He's back acting and doing great, but he did take a little hiatus I think from that because of that injury. So it shows that even though some of these actors want to do it, I think a lot of them are going to start figuring out it's going to hurt them. And the way some of this AI is nowadays, it's probably smart to use AI for certain reasons. Because even some people, yeah, sometimes you can make them look like a actor, but how about if they get really hurt, really injured? A lot of stunt people have passed away from some of the work they've done, and when you when you could save a life and save, why not use AI at times? I know people are going to argue it's taking jobs, but like they're dangerous jobs. So I think this take's very accurate. I think eventually stunt people are going to be you are going to use AI, and I don't know if you've seen the story, Tim, but Tilly Norwood, um, the AI actress,
Oh, yes. Yes, I have.
that's big news right now in Hollywood of an actress who is AI coming out in a movie and sort of sharing her her AI feelings about being in it. So it's starting to take effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Tom Holland's injury, obviously, very unfortunate. From my understanding, not causing too much of a delay to the filming of Spider-Man, but again, like you mentioned, facial injuries, stunts that kind of come with a risk, and clearly, if it's as
Hmm.
bad as him getting a concussion, it's very serious, obviously. And
Yeah.
I think of very few actors that really go about, filming their movies with stunts. Tom Cruise obviously
Hmm.
comes to mind. I'm sure he's been injured, but nothing to a degree that, seemingly canceled a movie. And as you
Yeah.
mentioned, certain actors can get, so devastated by a stunt that, it can delay a film multiple years. It can, derail maybe even an acting career at times.
Yeah.
So I think that with this new tech coming about, I think it's important to kind of look at it with, when it comes to AI, because I mean, they can make AI doppelgangers look so
Hmm.
incredibly close. Like they could even have, for example, Tom Holland probably voice over something. The AI actor comes in, mimics what Tom is saying. So at
Yeah.
least you keep his voice, and then, go about it like that, because a lot of it obviously is green screen acting in general with Marvel. So,
Yeah.
um, I guess, spoiler alert, they don't actually go to other planets or dimensions. um, but it's something, worth kind of taking a look at, because in general, like what's the big difference between like green screen acting
Hmm.
and what AI could produce? I feel like
Yeah.
it's very similar. Like I don't see any shame in it. Um, I think that the only shame would be is if, like, an entire movie's filmed and they're just using the name, image, and likeness of that
Hmm.
actor, with the actor not or actress not giving any
Yeah.
of their professional skill into it. I think that would be a little misleading and a bummer. But
Hmm.
certain scenes, I totally get it. Like it just makes sense at this point, especially when you're jeopardizing the health of, a lead actor in such a big
Hmm.
movie. So, Tilly Norwood, another one. I believe it was Whoopi Goldberg that spoke out about
Hmm.
the AI actress recently, and I was actually thinking about making that part of this topic. I'm glad you brought it up, John, where obviously a big part of movies, you're our podcast movie buff here.
Hmm.
And when it comes to, actors and actresses in movies, you kind of want to feel like an emotional connection to those characters in the film. It kind of builds. And I think what Whoopi Goldberg, if I'm not mistaken, was bringing up is that you're not going to have that emotional connection to
Hmm.
something that's inanimate, like it's just
Yeah.
make believe. So, um, yeah, it's interesting. I'm very curious to see, where this goes about, what it brings, the skill level of what AI can do. Um, and gosh, can you imagine just like actors or actresses losing out on roles because of AI? And then also cost, right?
Yeah.
Like, you you probably don't have to pay anything to them. It's
You still might have to pay something, but it's probably not what like an actor asked for. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think a big piece with that AI, and like I say, our take is sort of AI is going to take over stunts. It's not taking over Tom Holland, Spider-Man. It's not taking over Tom Cruise. It's not taking over these roles for actors. It's more the dangerous stuff because, like I say, we want to protect people. Um, the Tilly Norwood one, like I say, Whoopi Goldberg has a good point. Like, how am I going to connect to that actress in a movie when I know she's not real? Her voice is also an AI voice where look at animations. We fall in love with animations because of a make-believe cartoon. There are those, creators, editors, special effects, all of that, but then there's also the voices, which are real human beings. It's
Mhm.
actors that do movies. So it'd be very interesting. I truly don't think AI actors is ever gonna take off anytime soon. I
Mhm.
don't think many people should worry about it. I think what it's gonna be used for maybe is more like, well, what is it? More like scenes where an older actor is supposed to be young, like flashbacks.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Where you could sort of do that, where yes, you could use all these editors, creators, but sometimes depending on your budget for movies and what a lot of these actors are starting to ask for, you're gonna have to find ways to save some money, and I know it reminds me of the studio because there was an episode about this where um they use AI to sort of make the movie to save some money because they were using their budget on other things. And even though people got mad about it, on that business side, it makes sense why you would do it though. Because like I say,
Mhm.
you're trying to not spend too much money and make a profit because that's what a business is. Like I say, some people make movies for the passion because they want the movie. They want to make their story on the big screen and they don't really care if it makes a lot of money, as long as they see that story they've always believed in. And I think
Mhm.
that's amazing and great, but there are some of these movies that are about making money and it's like, okay, how am I going to make $1 billion to sort of benefit me?
Mhm.
So it's a very controversial subject, some of this AI stuff, but based off what we're talking about, stunt people, and I want the listeners to sort of take that into account. We're talking about stunts.
Uh-huh.
AI will take over stunts eventually because, like I say, it's going to protect the actors. I don't think actors should worry about AI taking their jobs. The South Park little episode, they took my jobs. They're not going to do that anytime
Uh-huh.
soon, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, super valid. And it's a great point with flashbacks, stuff like that. I think it was Central Intelligence came to mind with
Oh
The
yeah.
Rock and Kevin Hart, where they flash back and it was, a fat version of The Rock
Hmm.
that looked very, obviously CGI,
Yeah.
but AI is probably gonna, take over things like that. Maybe it'll just look like a little bit of a cleaner version of that.
Hmm.
Even though that looked great in my opinion, I thought it was
Yeah.
hilarious when they flashed back and he was, a
Yeah.
fat version of The Rock. Because that wasn't a real person. Hopefully, I'm not totally just like
Um,
crapping
I
on a real person right now.
actually,
Oh no.
I think it was a real person.
Oh boy. Oh really? You have to look
It's
that up because hey, shout out, no shame.
yeah.
It's okay. All good.
I want to say I'll look into it real quick.
Yeah, look that up for me because I thought it looked kind of AI. It maybe it was a real person, then the like AI, the CGI at the top of it, like his face a little bit more, to make it more of like that doppelganger vibe. But stuff like that, I'm thinking like they can make that a little bit cleaner. Flashbacks, that's a good idea. Also, background, like people that are just in the background of scenes. But, another thing comes to mind is Will Smith attempted to do that with an audience.
Yeah.
Didn't turn out too good.
Hmm.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I say like AI is developing so much, but it's still so far away to be able to make an entire character to do a whole movie because there's still
Mhm.
so many glitches. Like you see it in those pics. You see it in some of our thumbnails because like I say, we use AI for these thumbnails because it's easier. Like I say, we don't have a budget, maybe whenever we get to a certain point with this podcast where we could spend some money on better thumbnails, we'll use actual creators, you know, artists to do stuff like that for us. But till then, we have to use what tools we have that we could afford,
Mhm.
and it's like it's us not wanting to do that, same thing with editing. We're doing all our editing,
Oh yeah.
because of that. So it's sort of like we're trying to build this business, and I'm not just going to spend money because these people need jobs, these people are great at it. I got to
Mhm.
figure out what's best for me in my pocket because in the end, I'm the one paying for it, and if this doesn't work out and I'm thousands of dollars in the ground, it's not worth it. I go into bankruptcy. So,
Mhm.
yeah, but no. So the flashback, it is CGI, but the body is a YouTube dancer and it has
Oh.
the digital face replacement of The Rock. So they use The Rock. So
Ah, there you go.
it's not a real person, but like the person dancing was an actual person and they sort of made CGI and put The Rock's face on it.
Got it.
So, but
No shame. I mean, I'm
no.
fat. It's all good. But I think that was the point of the film anyways. It was to
Yeah.
make it look like he's out of shape, and obviously The Rock is completely jacked. So
Yeah.
I obviously that's the laughing point of that. But yeah, no, I mean, CGI is another one. It's honestly probably just going to be a better version of what CGI has been.
Hmm.
And then, what you can produce on top of that. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of cuts, a lot of edits, and I'm sure that's where most of that money is going to go. And you bring it up with our podcast,
Hmm.
um, using, AI, ChatGPT as a tool,
Hmm.
like where, creating thumbnails, things like that. It's incredibly beneficial. It's good to show, a side of being an artist or whatever. And John, you did that
Yeah.
in the past, and then ChatGPT really took off and,
Yeah.
assisted with a lot of that stuff. And I used it with a lot of clips,
Hmm.
yeah, regarding when we had Zach as a guest. It did a
Yeah.
great job showing his date that was a witch with the
Hmm.
bones on the table.
Yeah.
I thought that was turned out great. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
So it's a great tool, but at the same time, it's I completely agree. It's like it's kind of secondary to what humans can
Hmm.
produce on a greater level. And maybe not even in our lifetime, John.
Hmm.
There's been a ton of advancements, but at the same time, like I don't care how good you try to make artificial intelligence, it's not going to have that emotional touch
Hmm.
anytime soon.
Yeah,
It's
it's not, and like I said, I don't think I know I saw some of the posts of some actors, a little pissed about it, you know, that actors rep by that agent to sort of drop them because it's not right, not an actress. Yeah, she's not an actress, of course, it's AI, but they made this character to perform a scene which did the job they wanted to do. So, um, like I say, I'm on both sides of it because I want to see the actors. It's what I've always enjoyed about Hollywood and movies, but I'm also one that I will say wasn't really AI. How do I want to say it? Wasn't really a big fan of AI at the beginning. Even before this podcast, I was always sort of a little get against AI, and I think that's because of movies. Terminator didn't want Skynet to happen, but I've seen its growth, and I think it's an amazing tool to help with some things if you use it correctly. If you use it as a, a tool, not as a solution, is the big thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's I feel like I've really grown to, like it's a very
Hmm.
useful tool. And just I think what helped was, doing a lot of research on it because
Hmm.
of, this podcast in general. Like
Yeah.
we talk about it quite a bit on this podcast. We've had guests talk about it from Rob to Armando in the past. Armando just
Hmm.
sent us a clip today about how, he used it for, as part of his work project as well. It can be incredibly beneficial. Quick questions just searching for you.
Hmm.
But obviously there's a lot of tweaks and things that need to
Hmm.
occur with it to make it a lot better. And then in correlation to acting, John,
Hmm.
another thing that we talked about, God, I think it was last Oscar season. So we're nearing a year, I think, on this
Yep.
topic already, which is crazy. Was it Adrian Brody who was kind of accused of having a AI accent in The Brutalist?
That's what I heard. I know I was supposed to look it up, but I never really looked into it a bit. But that's
Oh,
what a lot of people were saying, that he used AI sort of for his accent and his voice in the movie, because I forget what accent it had to be, but that was the rumor. I don't know if it is right or wrong, but it is something, like I say, eventually you're gonna start seeing. There's probably a lot of movies that are big Hollywood movies that have used AI, but we just haven't found out yet.
hmm.
So like I say, people are a little mad about it. You know, you made great points. Green screens. That's sort of, you could say it's something like AI, because you're not actually in the Bahamas. You're not in Mount Everest for this movie. You're not in the Amazon jungles. So it's like there's always these tools to make it look like that. So AI is going to be a tool as well to sort of help the movie industry.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just trying to look up briefly here with
Uh,
Adrian Brody's Brutalist if they ever confirmed it. I think that there was a lot of speculation. I don't know if there's any confirmation, but then there was a movie with Hugh Grant's psychological horror Hederick,
mhm.
and they decided to put a statement in the film's credits: no generative AI was used in the making of this film. So
Okay.
I guess maybe the speculation, a lot of Hollywood probably isn't seeing it as a good thing at the moment. So I
Hmm.
mean, the backlash with Tilly at the moment, Tilly Norwood with the AI actress, obviously it's coming with a lot of backlash.
Yeah.
Same thing with AI generative accents because I'm sure they think it's going to hurt their possibilities
Hmm.
at obtaining awards, which makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
I'm
So
sure we'll see it. Go ahead.
yeah.
What'd you find?
So I found that this is just based off of Google. Like I say, I would have to research it a little bit more, but the AI overview in Google is very useful. So like I said, we all use it when we use Google still.
Oh yeah.
But it says the Brutalist used an advanced generative AI provided by the company Respeecher to enhance the Hungarian accent of its actors, including Adrian Brody, ensuring
Hmm.
perfect pronunciation without altering their core performance. So it shows, for
Yeah.
acting and, for changing your voice, your accents, they used it to sort of help it sound more Hungarian and not to sort of affect the acting Adrian Brody did, because he did all the acting. He did everything. It was just that voice, the
Hmm.
accent. They use some AI, and like I say, I bet you it's happening in a lot of other movies. It just hasn't come out.
I'm sure. Uh, Do you see that as being a steroid of acting?
Um, I think it depends on how it's gonna be used. If it's gonna be used to make Oscar-worthy movies, and then eventually everybody, if you're not using AI, you're never gonna be considered for an Oscar, then yeah,
Hmm.
I would consider it a steroid. I, like I say, this is the first time I remember hearing about it, so I think it's still a tool. I think there's a
Hmm.
lot of people against it because, like I say, it's not natural for an Oscar-winning movie. Um, so yeah, yeah, I wouldn't call it a steroid at the moment, but we'll see how it progresses in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think about like I feel like there's a lot of British actors, Australian maybe,
Hmm.
that try to perfect like an American accent.
Yeah,
Now, I don't know the difficulties of trying to do that, but I'm assuming it's just as hard as you or I trying to perfect a British accent.
yeah,
I'm sure it's the same level. So I'm sure that, for example, Tom Holland in Spider-Man,
hmm,
right? Like he's trying to reenact, a kid from New York.
yeah,
So in correlating it, obviously that takes a lot of work to try to do
hmm,
something like that. And Adrian Brody, we're just using you as an example in this, but
yeah,
like, you know, I'm sure he put a lot of time and effort to try to perfect a Hungarian accent,
hmm,
but then just having that little extra spice on top of it, like,
yeah,
it's I can see why, maybe other actors would, be like, man, that's some BS. We put a lot of effort and we never
hmm,
had to use any of that. But at the same time, I feel like a Hungarian accent could be even tougher than,
hmm,
maybe like an American accent. But I've never tried, so,
yeah.
who am I to say?
It,
I could be totally wrong on that.
I could see it. I think there are some accents that are probably a lot harder and it takes a lot more time to really learn how to speak it.
Hmm.
I think English, because it's a universal language, it might be a little bit easier for people to learn how to speak English in
Hmm.
an American accent. But I think that's why like voice coaching, is very important. And I think it really does help. Like I said, I think that type of those type of jobs, professions are going to be successful because, like I said, there's always going to be movies you have to do certain accents because it's even, in the US, it's like a Midwest accent compared to a West Coast accent compared to
Oh yeah.
New York accent or even a Boston accent. You really have to perfect it. It's not something we could just do, even though we're born and raised in the US. We can't do that accent without that coaching.
That's a fantastic point because I always totally random movie here, but the movie Joy, I think it was called Joy, where I believe it was Jennifer Lawrence, if
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not mistaken, and she was the TV saleswoman
Yeah.
who created her big brand. Everybody in that movie had a Minnesota accent,
Yeah.
and that's upper Midwest. That's a very
Yeah.
pronounced Minnesota. I never had thought about a Minnesota accent until
Uh-huh.
I watched that movie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, like those accents are really pronounced. I'm
Hmm.
shocked. My dad's from Chicago. So, he would say plaza or,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
hot dag, like it would be stuff like
Yeah.
that, maybe not that exaggerated. Sorry, dad. But, but he would say plaza,
Yeah.
certain things, would stick out.
Yeah.
And, even but I just feel like adapting to things like that, they put a lot of time and effort just for those accents, and that's
Hmm.
just regional within the United
Hmm.
States. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like yeah, everybody's still going to try, like you said, the jobs regarding
Hmm.
speech, and language assistance,
Yeah.
within these movies, trainers.
Yeah.
It'll always be a solid role and
Hmm.
something that will pay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in the future, a way I could see this industry, and like I said, this is me, someone not in the movie industry, not an actor. I would suck at acting. I don't think I would be a
Oh, shut
better,
up. We do great.
I'd be a
We'd
better,
love to be background in something.
that's what I was about to say. I'd be a great background actor, a great dead body, a great zombie,
Be
just
hilarious.
whatever, just in the back, no speaking lines, I could do that. I think I'd be amazing at that. But um like for these actors, like I think the way and this might be 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, but I think like Oscars, because like I say, I watch the Oscars a lot. I watch the Emmys, Golden Globes, all that stuff. I think movies that get nominated for that should be movies that don't use any type of AI, because like I said, that's core movie making. It's using
Hmm.
all your skills and using so many different professions to make an amazing movie. And if you decide to use AI in a movie, it sort of disqualifies you from the big awards. But like I say, you're still making billions. And in the end, if you're about making money, do that route. If you're about making movies, having that Golden Globe, having that Oscar, having those performances and doing it all on your own, do that. You'll always know which movies are already using AI, so it's like you get to decide.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I think it should be seen as a third. I think we brought that up before
Yeah.
regarding this topic, and I think it's still super valid. Like
Hmm.
it's literally a PED
Hmm.
for
Yeah, it
acting.
is. Hmm.
And because that's all part of the game. Like it's
Hmm.
if I wanted a Boston accent, it's like, dude, that's gonna take some training. Get in the car.
Hmm.
Sorry, I butchered that. Shut up, Boston. Um, it's you name it. But
Uh,
come on, we could say at least one line in a film, John. We
yeah.
could totally do that. Be like, let's come up
Yeah.
with some New York accent and just make fools of ourselves. I think it'd be
Probably.
hilarious. Obviously, it would have to be a comedy.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we want to be like dead bodies, we could do that too.
Hmm.
But like like at the mic, dead at the mic
Yeah.
somehow. Like yeah,
Yeah.
we could do it.
Yeah, so like I say, and I think we'll sort of start wrapping up this take. I think will eventually take over some of the stunts, some of the more dangerous things, because like I say, it's just a
Hmm.
liability reason, saves money.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't think AI is going to take over anytime soon. And like I say, it really is going to take these directors, producers to really buy into AI. I think there's still a lot of them that are very hesitant about using it, so I don't think there's a big concern. I think
Hmm.
it's a very small, like 1% population that's looking at these AI actors, whereas right now everybody else is still like, we don't know what it is. Just like ChatGPT and all this AI software was 2 to 3 years ago, where people were like, I don't know about it, let's not use it. And now majority of people are starting to use it more.
Hmm.
So it's all going to depend on directors, producers, creators, screenwriters, writers, like that core group of that movie to say we want to use AI or not. So, like I say,
Hmm.
if there's actors that don't want to be a part of it, ask about the movie before you sign up for it. Is there any AI? And if it is, step away and make your point. Because I think they should still make the point. Like, I'm not doing these movies because there's AI and I don't think it's right. And hey, I would respect that and support that.
Yeah, don't succumb to peer pressure.
Yeah.
Treat it like it's a drug. Say no.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
You
but
know.
it's
Totally random take, but yeah, no, I
it
agree. That's a great point.
it's a legal drug right now because it's not
It
illegal
is.
to use AI.
Yeah, it's fun to use,
Mhm.
recreational. All right. Got my next take here from John. EA was bought for $55 billion, and it may change the future of gaming. Yes. So this was certainly a big topic this past week. And
Mhm.
I think it was, they went private, correct? Like with this
Yes,
whole sale.
it
So
went away from the stock exchange.
yes, yeah, which is nuts. I don't know where this is going to go. But I have a few ideas in my noggin that was kind of thinking about with this topic, so I'm glad you brought it up. And I believe it was a pool of investors, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken. I saw some Middle East investors. I think
Yeah.
that there was maybe some American as well,
Hmm.
Europe. But certainly a pool of investors. So it's going to take, a non-public, private funding type of
Hmm.
collaboration with this. But quite frankly, um, I feel like the product could get a lot better, in
Hmm.
my opinion. Where I currently see Madden, I'm sorry, I'm just picking and choosing here, but Madden, I haven't purchased either Madden 26. I haven't purchased the newest NCAA football either, but I've heard they aren't the best. And I
Yeah.
think it's just we all have had the same general feel on this lately,
Hmm.
where it just seems like you're getting a roster update for a lack of a better product, whether
Yeah.
it's gameplay or animations, things like that. Um, but I feel like through private funding, you could see a lot more, just behind the
Yeah.
scenes work, and it could unlock a lot more possibilities. It could revolutionize gaming in general, unlocking a lot more possibilities, and just money that just wasn't there before through being traded publicly,
Hmm.
because you're obviously in the public eye. You're listening to zillions of different investors to try to create a product. So
Hmm.
this will be a lot better. Hopefully, it goes to a lot of different places. I'm going to look up more right now on this topic and
Hmm.
see if there's anything else that's, really popped up since.
Yeah.
But I do truly think that this could bring us to a point of, gaming and gaming creation that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, I think it can make a big change. What I've read is this Saudi group, along with all the other investors, they bought it out. A- Any shareholder that had shares in EA, they got 210 per share. So if you
Oh,
had a lot, well, while it was down and continue to hold, it's probably a nice little payout.
yep.
Um, but what I've read, like the Saudi Arabia's group and interest in doing this with EA is sort of just a vision that they have and sort of diversification of investments outside of the US, because Saudi, as people know, the biggest thing in Saudi, oil. That's their biggest investment. That's where a lot of their money comes from. But what they're
Yep.
trying to do is trying to develop more diverse investments to sort of show and sort of bring diversity into the country. Um, I read something and I have it up here. In 2021, the PIF, the group, the Saudi group that invested into EA, they invested about 3.3 million into Activision Blizzard. So that's World of
Oh,
Warcraft, Call of Duty, and Overwatch. So they already have invested. So I don't know. I don't know if they'll make many decisions about like what the game should look like or anything like that, but I think what they are gonna have a say in is like how it should come out, how it should get promoted, and the big thing is like how do you make money off of it, and if they invested with Call of Duty, Call of Duty makes money a garbage way with all the skins, all the
yes.
purchases. Um, like I say, they maybe learn a lot from EA with this upcoming release of Battlefield, and they're gonna be like, all right, Call of Duty, we gotta switch it up. You're making money, but this is how you're gonna make money and attract gamers to continue coming back to your game and to your product. Because, like I say, with how everything is looking with Battlefield right now, Call of Duty, I'm not even thinking about what is it coming out?
No.
Black Ops? I don't even know what it is anymore.
Yeah.
I I don't care about killing someone in the cat cafe.
Yeah. No, that clip was.
I'm
Yeah, they're in Cat
sorry.
Cafe. Go. No, I completely agree. I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought that up, because that clip was just like,
It still
what?
lives on. I see it all the time.
That's hilarious. Like, that's what
Uh,
they're thinking about. Then they're thinking about, like, the way you inspect a gun that has like a roller coaster on the gun, and you're
hmm.
like watching it. It's like, dude, I've never once used that mid game.
No.
What? Why? Like, I don't
Yeah.
need that. Couldn't care less.
Yeah.
It's but like I'm obviously, I'm with you regarding Battlefield. That's, hopefully the next big streaming possibility for our channel
Hmm.
is streaming some Battlefield, and that's coming out what, already next weekend, I believe.
Yeah, I think
Um,
yeah, next week, Tuesday, or I think
gosh,
it is.
I'm so stoked. This is gonna be
Yeah.
so freaking good. Um, but yeah, that alone is, a tremendous game. It's going to be
Hmm.
a great change of pace from the quality that we've had with Call of Duty, which has been lousy.
Yeah.
It in maybe the investing, with Saudi companies. I don't know if it's going to bring anything else, but again, if it doesn't bring anything else, it just shows that they're trying to liquidate, funds in really everything, because,
Hmm.
Live Golf is another thing.
Yeah.
The Riyadh comedy festival, which
Hmm.
some comedians said no to, but quite a few said yes. It's like Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle. It's
Hmm.
been pretty big news recently.
Yeah.
So you name it. Obviously, UFC expanded out that way. So there's a lot going on, and just them getting to the forefront of a lot more stuff is, I think the funds will certainly be there. So it
Hmm.
seems. So don't know. Again, quality of work. Maybe it'll improve, maybe
Hmm.
not. I don't think, quite frankly, it could get much worse, John. But I think Battlefield, for what it's worth, like outside of, I mean that solely probably for sports games, to
Yeah.
be honest with you. But when it comes to things like Battlefield, I think it looks freaking badass. I think that's
Hmm.
going to be a great game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's gonna be an awesome game. I know Fidel threw a little jab at it because of the
Oh
commercial
yes.
with the actors, but
Hmm.
I still think I think they did that to sort of mock Call of Duty because that's what they
Oh
would
yeah.
always do every year. And I don't think
Yep.
they've done a trailer like that yet with celebrities, so they're first to the game and it's probably a lot better. But yeah, the this I don't think is gonna, as you were talking and thinking about it a bit, I feel like it's gonna provide more accessibility to games and to, platforms because what I see the Saudi group has done with other sports, like boxing, they were the ones in charge and oversaw Canelo versus Crawford recently, on
Hmm.
Netflix, and anybody that had Netflix could watch it, as long as you had that. I think it was a certain subscription, and like I say, they partner with the UFC, with WWE, they're with Paramount, and it's more of that accessibility because now we might be able to watch more UFC without paying pay-per-views. And that's because they have a backer like the Saudi group,
Hmm.
on top of all the other investors putting money into it. And like I said, with more accessibility, more not having many paywalls, you're going to get a lot more people interested, and that's going to generate more revenue. Even though you don't think it is, in the long run, I think it will generate more revenue for these companies and these products.
For sure. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then, maybe the possibility of, I don't know, gaming worldwide. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know, were you big into playing like Xbox Live back in the day when that was like really popular with Call of Duty 4 or Gears of War back in the day? Because high school it was massive for me.
Uh,
Um,
I was never a Xbox. I had an Xbox, but it was always more PlayStation because that's what
got it.
everybody had.
Yeah.
I don't like Xbox recording my conversations, and
Yeah.
keeping transcripts of it.
Yeah, the
You know,
FBI is after you.
yeah.
Yeah, no, but I remember back in the day, like Xbox Live, for example, like Gears of War, Call of Duty 4,
Hmm.
whatever. Uh, I remember playing with like a lot of people from Britain
Hmm.
or France or, Australia. I don't know if it's because I was playing at like 3 in the morning, like any high school person would, but like nowadays,
Hmm.
anytime I log in, like it's obviously it's us, in a party chat, stuff like that. But if I'm playing alone or something,
Hmm.
it all seems local. Like not even that many
Hmm.
people talk. So I don't know if it's like the possibility of gaming worldwide, the
Yeah,
possibilities that are
it
there
could.
might, kind of get a little bit bigger again.
Hmm.
Because obviously it's popular worldwide right now, but just,
Yeah.
gaming wise, like if they'll collaborate a little bit more and kind of bring that about, even
Hmm.
more. But yeah, I'm curious. I don't know, another thing I think about is because they started something like Live Golf. I'm wondering
Hmm.
if they're going to bring like a Live Golf game to this, if they're going to
Maybe.
bring a different side to, I don't know, FIFA, is
Yeah.
another one. Yeah, I don't know. It could be good, could be bad.
Yeah.
Really is a lot to see, but certainly huge news with this going private.
Yeah, I think there might be new gaming tournaments that some of these gaming clans have to sort of decide if they want to join, just the way PGA and Live Golf did, because there's more money in, the Saudi group one compared to the other gaming platforms or tournaments that there are. So it's going to be interesting. I don't think it goes into effect fully until 2027. So still a few
Oh
years
wow.
away, but like I say, it's still big news because it's who knows what else they're looking at. What's the next, either console or gaming, platform that needs to be bought up and remade and made better, Are they going to buy 2K,
Yeah.
Revamp
Oh,
NBA 2K?
that's another thing too, is I that literally crossed my mind right now, is if they buy EA, I know the licensing, I think with NFL, for example,
Hmm.
is coming up soon, right? Or
Hmm.
maybe at the end of this year.
Nah,
So with the purchase of EA, does that mean that we maybe get the possibility of getting a 2K football back? Because
maybe.
the 2K, what, 3, 4,
Hmm.
5 football,
Yeah.
best NFL game I've ever played in my
Hmm.
life.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way.
Yeah.
It was the best. Chris
Yeah.
Berman, half times. Oh my God. Just the
Yeah.
gameplay altogether was phenomenal.
Yeah. It could be that licensing war where, what this group EA does certain games in a certain way and 2K, I don't even know what organization they're under, but they do their own.
Hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I saw that. I was like, okay, this is big news, especially it going private out of the stock exchange, paying out all the shareholders. I'm like, they're doing this for a reason, and you don't see it much.
No, definitely not. No, it was
Yeah,
massive news and has reigned the web. So let's see
yeah,
how it changes gaming, if it does at
yeah.
all.
Yeah, we'll see, but that's our banter takes, and as always, our banter takes are takes, we haven't seen before. At the end, if you agree or disagree, let us know in the comments. Let us know in our videos and our clips that we post. And like I said, we always enjoy bantering with you guys, hearing your guys' side. If we're very wrong, I know some of this AI in movies, we're probably going to be butchered by some of these people in the movie industry, but hey, honestly, it's the reality of just life in general. AI is here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's why we clip it because, we want to hear other sides to it.
Mhm.
We were called NFL experts this past
No,
week. I thought I was flattered
I
personally.
was,
And
yeah.
I know you were too, John.
Thank you, thank you.
But yeah, it's our pleasure. But everybody has their side to where they,
Hmm.
how they see things, and they can agree, they can disagree. Totally up
Hmm.
to you. It's freedom
Yeah.
of speech, and
Yeah.
that's
That
why we're here.
that's
It's
why
fun
we're
stuff.
banter on the rocks. And
Yes,
with
straight
that, we're
up.
going to continue doing some more bantering, and we'll go into NFL. And I don't know, I don't know how
Hmm.
to start it today,
Where to
Tim.
start?
It's another tough effing week for me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, hey, me too. First loss of the
uh,
year for the Niners. I can
uh,
get us started, John, and then we'll
okay.
leeway into you. Um, Niners. Brock Purdy came back. I don't know. Meh. It's okay. Not all his fault though. A lot of drops. Really
Hmm.
ugly.
Yeah.
Pearsall hurt again.
Yeah.
Um, Juwan Jennings left hurt.
Hmm.
It's a story of our lives
Yeah.
with the Niners injuries. Still made it kind of close at the end, but it's crazy because CMC's still healthy. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
He's hanging in there. That's great news. Hopefully we start getting healthy soon. Hopefully we can survive some more weeks with wins.
Yes.
Our division's very tough, so it's
Hmm.
it's something that we have to kind of stay on top and survive. I don't know if there's. I heard something this past week, John. They said Nick Bosa's ACL tear was really clean. I don't know. In any ACL tear, it never sounds good. So if you say
May,
there's a good way to tear something, evidently he did it. Evidently, it's a cleanest.
maybe it's just like a straight line instead of like muscles breaking and just like all the squiggly lines. I
There you
don't know.
go. Easy to put back together.
Maybe. Yeah.
I, I don't I don't know if that, means like, so he'll be good for playoffs, or if that's
Hmm.
like, no, he's just still going to be ready
Yeah.
just for next year. Like I have no idea what that means. But that's evidently a rumor out there.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and doctors on the Niners evidently didn't even know he tore it right
Hmm.
away. So
Yeah.
maybe that's even more evidence for this. But anyways, lots of injuries. We
Yeah.
lost. Jaguars should have won, in my opinion. Jags, they're good, not great, but they are better without Trent Baalke. A little scuffle with Salah and Cohen afterwards. Cohen
Yep.
saying, "Keep your name out my mouth," regarding legal sign stealing. I thought that was
Yep.
interesting. He's a huge dude. Like Like Cohen's lucky he had two of his other coaches like pushing him
He
away because he would have gotten his ass kicked. Let's be
would
honest.
have.
Like
Yeah.
Scholar would have roughed him up. Don't think it would have gotten to that point, but Saul is a beast.
Hmm.
And uh, yeah, so that was probably one of the most interesting parts of that game in my opinion.
Yeah.
Was just some shit talking. And outside of that, man, disappointing. Rams win, Seahawks win.
Hmm.
Not good for us. Cardinals lost to the Seattle
Yeah.
Seahawks. But yeah, no, good division. Tough, but
Yeah. It's gonna be
now I'll
tough.
give you the floor because you're what's up with injuries too now.
Yeah, no, I know what's up with injuries, and I was going to ask you, is it okay? Would you have felt worse with this loss if Balky was still on the Jags?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, losing to that guy sucks. Yeah. But let's be honest, Sean, he's not going to produce a winner the way the Jags have
No,
won. Like
no.
he's only losers. Yeah,
Hmm.
losers only with him.
Yeah, no, yeah. It was another tough weekend for us. A loss to the Chiefs. It was pretty much a big must win for us, and to sort of derail the Chiefs' season as well. Um, but we just got destroyed. Let's be honest
Mm.
with it. Raven fans, we got destroyed. We got beat down. And we got injuries, Raekwon Smith going to be out a few weeks. We lost some of our defensive line. Our defensive line, just heading into the game, we were already down for three of our starters. So struggle there. We started losing our cornerbacks as well during the game. And the big one, I haven't heard much, but Lamar Jackson, possible hamstring injury, didn't play the game. And we talked about it last week. If you lose your quarterback, you're pretty much done for the season. Um, let's look at the Bengals. Another poor showing
Ooh.
without Joe Burrow, even though they have such a solid offensive team. That quarter, Jake Browning can't do it. It's the game plan. So Cooper Rush came in, did decent, got us some points, was able to move the field. But some of my takeaways from this game, and this is just me as a Raven fan who's a little pissed off, uh, this team just needs to stop the fancy shit. Like it's always against the Bills and it's always against the Chiefs where we get away from our normal game plan of running with Derrick Henry and trying to outsmart the Chiefs and Bills, and that just shoots us in the foot. That just kills us. Our first drive, like I say, Derrick Henry first half only had four rushes.
Hmm.
Four rushes in the first half. That makes no sense when our game is the rushing game. Derrick Henry has to be used the way he should be used. They were trying to get too fancy, trying to throw the Chiefs off with a different game plan. But like I say, every time we do it, we get destroyed and we get embarrassed. Lamar Jackson, second drive interception. After that interception, his game just went down, and it's scaring me. Don't want to say it, yes, but I don't know if he could be it in clutch time because he pretty much broke down after that. He was having bad games. He wasn't able to get his run in. Like I said, the throw he had for that interception, dumb mistake as well. Falling back, throwing it, to Mark Andrews, who was pretty much covered pretty well. You should have just thrown it out of bounds if you didn't want to take a sack. Take the sack or just throw it out of bounds. Don't try to be a hero play because sometimes it isn't going to work out. So, and like I said, now it's unfortunate that who knows how bad of an injury he has. Hopefully, he doesn't have anything. Just needs some rest. But tough, tough week. We pretty much got to win out to sort of have a chance for the playoffs. I was thinking this since yesterday. If if we lose the next 2 to 3 games and we're pretty much out of the playoffs, we need to have a fire sale. I think we need to trade Derrick
Mm.
Henry, get some picks, we keep Lamar Jackson's still our cornerstone, but Derrick Henry is getting older. Nothing against him, but it's like if we're not gonna win, let's give him the opportunity to win elsewhere, get that Super Bowl he deserves. Same with DeAndre Hopkins. I think Rashad Bateman would be another trade asset, and let's get some picks for this year. I think we need to start developing for the future. Because Lamar Jackson still has quite a few years, but we need those other pieces. There's a lot of great players out, in college right now. Like I say Jeremiah Smith, if we could get a nice return, that could be a great wide receiver piece. Even Alabama's wide receiver,
Mm.
I had it like yesterday. Um, but
All
him,
effort for you.
um, Jeremiah
Ryan
Love,
Williams.
Ryan Williams, great, great wide receiver right there. That would be
Yep.
great on our team. Uh, running backs. There's a lot of running backs. Penn State's running backs, Notre Dame's running back, Jeremiah Love. Great running
Yep.
backs that are legit, and that do great in college. Like look at Ashton Genty, something we could talk about in a bit. Had his breakout game. This is what we were
Hmm.
expecting from him, and these are players on better teams, harder opponents that could do what Derrick Henry does for many years to come. And like I say, nothing against Derrick Henry. Love him as a player. Think he's great. But if we're not going to make the playoffs or we're not going to contend, let's give him a chance somewhere else. And hey, if we have to give him to the Chiefs and we get a good return, just give it to the Chiefs. Let's just make that happen. What the NFL wants. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, that's my vent session with the Ravens. If we're not gonna win, we gotta plan for the future and we gotta go on a fire sale.
That valid take. There's a lot of great talent coming up in the draft, like you mentioned. If you guys want a wide receiver, Brandon Ayuk, you guys want him? He's pretty
We'll
good.
pass on. We'll pass on that
Um,
one.
okay, maybe check back. Leave it up in the air. We'll leave it on the table. You never know. Uh, but we kind of talked about it last week. We clipped it where Derrick Henry, like, and I posed this question to you a couple of weeks ago, like, is there something up with him? With the fumbles, is it, obviously this game in general, no fumbles, but just lack of a presence,
hmm
game plan shifted from him. Do you feel like there's like a worry about his abilities at this point?
I don't think there's a worry. I think they're just out coaching themselves and sort of like how you always said with Shanahan,
Yeah.
always out coaching himself, thinking ahead, trying to be creative and get fancy with what our game plan is going to be to sort of throw off the Chiefs, throw off the Bills. When when we do what we just do, we're legit. We're set. We don't need to do anything differently. Don't try to get fancy like the Chiefs. Don't try to get fancy like the Bills. That's just their game plan. That's their style. That's not our style. Our
Hmm.
style is just running it through the middle with Derrick Henry, develop that run game because then they're gonna have to, put so many people in the box that it's gonna open up your wide receivers. It's gonna open up the running lanes for Lamar Jackson. But if you're not doing that, they're going to be playing more prevent and they're going to be covering better and you're not going to be able to throw it. So I don't think there's a worry with him. I think it's they're just out coaching themselves and it's hurting them.
Yeah, no, I think that's a valid point because yeah, there's zero reason why Derrick Henry is only
hmm
getting 8 carries. Like
Yeah,
I it's like giving Christian McCaffrey 8 carries. It
yeah,
just doesn't make sense.
yeah,
And obviously, we brought up his receiving aspect.
hmm
I will say maybe they listened because he did
yeah,
get 2 catches for 16 yards. That was an improvement.
yeah,
But at the same time is they can utilize Derrick Henry in the run game. And look what a great game Justice Hill had. He was
yeah,
like your lone bright spot. Like he had a
hmm
phenomenal game.
yeah,
So the talent is there. It's just
yeah.
all about how you utilize it. And then, obviously Lamar going down. Do you feel like Lamar's injury? I haven't heard too much more about it. Do you, is it like he's in jeopardy of missing next week, or do you think it was more just like game flow, him
Uh,
missing the rest of that game?
I hope it's more game flow. Like I say, I've been trying to look into it. I haven't seen too much. I
Hmm.
think we'll probably have to wait until tomorrow to hear a little bit more about what it's gonna look like. But like I say, if he's out a few weeks, it's gonna hurt us. Cooper Rush is gonna have to try to win games. Like I said, we got the Texans next. Um,
That's
I
very
think we
winnable.
could. It's a winnable game with Cooper Rush. Um, and then the week after that, we got. Is that our bye week? Maybe. Nope. We got the Rams, which is going to be a tough one
Oof.
because, like I say, it's not just our offense; it's our defense that's really hurt as well. We're
Yep.
losing big cornerstone pieces, so we're hitting an injury bug, which is gonna hurt us, and we need to get, you know, we're at 1-3. We need to get wins these next few weeks to just be able to contend. Because Steelers are in it. Um, and then there's a lot of other good teams in the AFC, so it might just be the Steelers that come out of the AFC North, which will be the first time in I think a few years that it's only one team out of AFC North when normally we have two to three.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's all of a sudden become a little bit different this year.
Hmm.
Yeah, the Texans are very winnable. So if Lamar
Hmm.
needs a week, but again, go back to relying on Derrick Henry because
Yeah.
that team he could destroy.
Yeah.
There's zero reason why, you know, he should only be getting 8 handoffs against a team like
Yeah.
that. And on a defensive standpoint, like the defense, the
Hmm.
Ravens is just kind of suffering in general. Like Pat
Yeah.
Mahomes had 4 rushing touchdowns against them,
Yeah.
um, or 4 passing touchdowns, Mike,
Yeah.
excuse me. But like he hasn't done that all year. He hasn't done
Hmm.
that in a really long time. It just shows that there's, a lot of key points because the talent certainly
We
can
have
be
it.
there
We
with
have it.
yeah. It's just it's got to click somehow. So
Hmm.
hopefully they can turn around. Because this is
Hmm.
definitely not the Baltimore Ravens anybody expected.
Yeah.
Tough losses, but I there's still a chance. This season's still
Yeah.
really um but kind of a weird week in general. Like,
Hmm.
if we want to stick with the AFC West even, Raiders look awful, minus
Yeah.
Ashton Genty. And just to touch on Ashton Genty, finally, a breakout, for
Hmm.
him. He's, the there's a stat that was really prominent this past week where, yards after contact. I think he had 144 rushing yards,
Hmm.
and I think his yards after contact was 145
Yeah.
yards. So
Hmm.
he's always contacted
Yeah.
immediately, is what
Yeah.
that goes to show you. I think that he was the only player like above 100%,
Yeah.
yards after
Yeah.
contact.
Yeah. And the one thing with the Raiders, fire your offense coordinator. Uh
Yeah.
I saw a stat. Um Genty returned to his Jason Voorhees stance this
Mm,
game, and look what he did. So
yep.
Chip Kelly, you don't know football. Don't be trying to change
Idiot.
a player,
Idiot. Yeah.
because he returned to his normal stance that he had in college, and look what he did. He didn't need to bend his knees, get prepared. Like this is what he was always doing, and this is what made him comfortable. Don't change a guy just because it's not traditional football. Like Chip Kelly, I think they need to get rid of Chip Kelly.
I
My
agree.
thought though.
Yeah, I don't know why Chip Kelly still has a job, to be quite frank. Like after Oregon, has he I mean Ohio State, I don't know if you even want to like give him that much credit. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, decent amount of credit, but like the team was just really good and won. But he hasn't he destroyed my Niners. It was like he
Yeah.
was 2-14 with us. He was terrible at
Yeah.
UCLA, terrible with the Eagles. So I mean, there's just zero success with him. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
in the Raiders have more potential than that. Geno Smith, I think he's a better quarterback than what he showed.
Hmm.
I know Raider fans are probably really upset with him.
Yeah.
But again, there's not really that many weapons
Mm-mm.
receiver core wise. Trey
Yeah.
Tucker already kind of non-existent this past week, but show can obviously the talent's there.
Hmm.
Jacoby Myers, same thing. Brock Bowers banged up,
Hmm.
still isn't back to 100%. You can
Yeah.
tell. And then you have Ashton Genty.
Yeah.
It's but behind an O line that doesn't give you much time. I think it's a lot
Yeah.
of what CJ Stroud deals with.
Hmm.
Um, But yeah, no. So Raiders. I mean, it's probably good you stepped away from that take, John. Not
Oh
not
yeah.
paying off as well as your Bucks take.
Yeah.
And then Chargers. That was a really bad loss to the Giants.
A very bad
I
loss.
just I don't know if it was under preparedness for what Jackson Dart could do
Hmm.
in their game flow, and they're preparing more for Russell Wilson. Even though
Yeah.
I did listen this morning. Last week, Harbaugh was on with Dan Patrick, and Dan Patrick asked him that very question of, "Are you preparing for Jackson Dart? Are you preparing for Russell Wilson?" And he kind of gave that stereotypical of, we're preparing for both possibilities. So I
Hmm.
don't know how much they looked into it.
Yeah.
Um, Chargers, obviously, I deal on another team that's banged up. I think
Yeah.
Joao left the game early.
Hmm.
Amari and Hampton coming out party
Yes.
looked phenomenal. Herbert had some good glimpses in there. Quentin Johnson continuing his comeback season.
Yeah.
Um, I don't
McConkey
know.
turning
God,
into Quentin Johnson.
they're like, is it some Monstars thing, like where
Maybe,
they
maybe.
swapped powers?
Could be.
I just,
Could be.
it's just polar opposite.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
It's crazy. Yeah, no, that was a bad game, but that New York defensive line,
Oh yeah,
monsters, dude.
they're
That's a
really good.
monster D line. Their secondary, I think, needs a little help, but that D line, yeah,
Hmm.
it's a hard one. So Omarion Hampton being able to do what he did against that offense or that defensive line, promising for his future as a Charger.
Hmm.
And yeah, Jackson Dart looked well. Um, I want to see more before I say he's
Yeah,
the quarterback of the future for the New York Giants because what did he throw? 111 yards only,
yeah.
something
His
like
rushing was more
120.
prominent.
Yeah,
Seemed
but
like a
like I
lot of
said,
option plays.
yeah. So, unless that's how you're gonna win games and that's gonna be your game plan, but like I said, that's as a rookie QB, it's gonna be hard to be able to win those
Hmm.
games. So I want to see a little bit more. Um, but the one thing with New York Giants and Jets, they need to redo that field. That stadium needs to get
Mm.
closed, redo, go to natural grass, not turf anymore because that Malik Neighbors injury. Um, saw the stat. It happened against the Chargers when they lost OBJ, in that same stadium, so playing the
Hmm.
Chargers in New York isn't a good luck for them. So, um, yeah, tough loss for them.
You bring up a great point. And that was actually going to be one of the hot takes I had for you this week. But
Yeah.
I knew that we were eventually going to get to this topic where we talk about injuries because we saw more of them through Monday Night Football with Braylon Allen, Tyreek Hill's. That video is rough to watch.
Yeah.
Certainly, career could possibly be in jeopardy with an injury
Hmm.
Tyreek Hill had. Hopefully not. Hopefully he's back because
Yeah.
he's fun to watch. But um, just in general, my hot take for you, John, was going to be the NFL needs to prohibit the use of turf fields anymore.
Hmm.
MetLife in general, obviously, it's a very well-known mixed-use field
Yeah.
where, dozens of concerts every single year, occur there. Lots goes on at MetLife. So,
Hmm.
as is other fields. SoFi is another one.
Yeah.
You name it. It's just, I think that there's there's a clear correlation between ACLs, Achilles, all these
Hmm.
rough injuries that go into play in comparison to what happens on grass. Like Aaron Rodgers is another one. He
Yeah.
snapped his Achilles at MetLife. Nick Bosa had his first ACL tear at
Yeah.
MetLife. We've lost a ton of talent there. I think it was back-to-back weeks. I forget who else tore something at MetLife right before maybe it was Raheem Mostert. I forget who it was a few years ago, but I know Nick Bosa had, it was the year Nick Bosa tore his issue.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just become, a greater issue where we just need to get away from turf in general. It's absolutely brutal. So hopefully, I don't know if it's going to become a mandate at a certain point,
Yeah.
but the NFL is really going to see an issue with a lot of these injuries moving forward because, again, we're losing like really prominent names. Like Joe Burrow's
Yeah.
already out for the year. We see what the Bengals have become.
Hmm.
Tyreek Hill's going to go out. Dolphins will only get worse.
Yeah.
Um, Nick Bosa goes out. D line suffers. Like you name it. Like it's just a zillion different issues. So I think grass is needed
Yeah.
to go back to.
Yeah, there's a lot of injuries right now occurring. Like I say, Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill season, like I say, Tyreek Hill most likely season-ending surgery, an injury. Braylon Allen concussion, look like it. Who knows what else? Um, what other injuries happened this week? Like I say, your Niners lost a few players during the game. The Ravens lost a few players.
Pearsall, Juwan Jennings,
It's happening a lot more at a higher rate than I think it has happened
Malik
in many
Neighbors, torn
neighbors.
ACL.
Hmm. So, and you could contribute that some of it to injuries, you could contribute it to other things, time management, maybe not preparedness, but you know, it's also, how do you your fitness team, in your organization, your injury, your doctors, your PT. How is that? Are they really putting money into that compared to other things, compared to their stadiums? I'm
Hmm.
curious to see those analytics and those stats um,
Yep.
a little
It's
bit more.
definitely a money grab. At least from what I've seen this evening, there was a lot of talk with it because of what happened
Hmm.
with Tyreek Hill. And obviously, they want to make it mixed use. Like, you have concerts, just the way that a lot of
Yeah.
these owners make money. Um, so, I don't know how you adjust it. I don't know if there's going to be a big difference in the future
Hmm.
if they start mandating this. Um, but again, like we're losing really prominent names to all of these soft tissue
Hmm.
injuries. I don't know if Nathan is still in here, but Nathan joined the TikTok live, John,
Hmm.
and you are our in-house fantasy guru here. He was wondering Amarian Hampton, Jalen Warren, and Judkins in a trade for CMC and Kamara. Would you do it?
So Hampton,
Jalen Warren
uh-huh,
and
and
Judkins
for
or CMC and Kamara?
ooh, that's a tough one because
Hmm.
CMC is looking like he'll make it, knock on wood, through the season. But Kamara, I don't think Kamara's getting the same production he was previous years, especially his catching. So if it's a PPR league, you're taking a chance because Judkins is the number one guy there.
And
Um,
he's looked great.
and he's looked amazing. Hampton is looking amazing right now. And then I think you're just throwing in Jalen Warren for possibilities to make it seem sweet, but Jalen Warren isn't going to be the guy. I think moving forward, he was injured this week too. I think it was a knee
Mhm.
injury that's why he was out. So
Yeah, it was last minute. A lot of people are upset with that. They weren't
it,
ready.
if it was me, I wouldn't pull it.
Yeah.
I would roll the dice on Hampton just because I like that matchup better. His matchup better. Judkins, like I say, he's gonna be playing from behind, but they're using him amazingly, and I think they're gonna continue doing that. He's gonna be a cornerstone where CMC is gonna be used like CMC, so I'm not too concerned there. Kamara is my one concern. It's that one question mark where I think you're giving up too much. If Jenkins
Yeah.
wasn't doing what he was doing, I would say pull the trigger. But what he's shown the last 2 weeks, I would hold for another week.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that Judkins and Hampton have really turned into top
Hmm.
10 backs at this point.
Yeah,
I think that just consistency alone,
yeah,
they've proven it the last couple weeks. And Judkins, I mean,
uh,
instantly was plug and play. Like
yeah,
before, like there was a lot of talk about Samson getting more of the
yeah,
run there, but Judkins has looked
yeah,
great and he can receive, he can do a whole lot more.
yeah.
Um, And then, just bringing up Kamara in general,
Hmm.
I have NFL Red Zone, so I was getting glimpses of the Bills game.
Hmm.
And something kind of big kind of came to mind is Kendry Miller was getting a lot of
Hmm.
carries this past game.
Yeah,
Do you think New Orleans is kind of saving Kamara for a trade at this point?
possibly. I think with Kamara, a contender's gonna need him. Um, and you'll be able to develop a great a great package because, well, they need QB. I don't know if I trust anybody QB wise this year.
Hmm.
Um, like I say, the USC Malavia.
He
I
looks
think
great.
he looks great, but I think he's gonna stay another year at least.
Yeah.
After this year, same with Joey Aguilar. Tennessee's looking decent, but I think he's gonna stay another year or two.
Hmm.
Um, Manning, I don't think Manning should go, and I wouldn't even pick him as of right now in my top five. We'll see how the
I th
rest of the season goes.
I think Drew Aller is rumored to be a top pick as well, even though he
I,
didn't look very good against
I
Oregon.
don't like. I've never liked Drew Allen. Great
Same.
in college, but for the pros, I don't think he's there. Um,
I don't get it either.
Is it Neesmith from LSU?
Yep.
Might be probably the most promising, and then if Carson Beck could play well, he's another name that I maybe would take. But like, I wouldn't take any of these QBs at the moment in the top
Hmm.
10. So it's what's New Orleans gonna do with this trade? What are they gonna look at? Kendry Miller. I think he was always supposed to be the one that takes over Kamara, so
Yep.
it might happen this year. Kamara gets traded. I think where they need some support is maybe wide receiver. Olave's solid, but concussion injuries is a concern.
Hmm.
Rashid Shaheed, decent player, but not the not a big name that I would trust. And maybe even tight end. Juwan Johnson's doing great this year. Had a poorer of a
Yep.
game, but is a solid person. Um, but after that, you don't have much, and then that defense is decent. They got a decent defense that keeps them in, but their offense is where they struggle.
For sure. Yeah, I just,
Hmm.
they almost got like it just seemed like workload wise,
Hmm.
Kamara was super even with Kendry Miller, and I don't
Yeah.
think we've really seen that yet
Hmm.
until this week. And there's been a ton of injuries, and I
Yeah.
just think that if anybody loses anybody that's
Hmm.
in a competitive team, that Kamara is probably the perfect person to look for.
Yeah.
Um, so but you hope that he goes to a place where you know they don't have a healthy back and he can reassume that RB1 role because or else he's
Hmm.
going to be splitting, carries with somebody else. Um, Another name that came to mind too, out of like college football,
Hmm.
Fernando Mendoza, Indiana quarterback.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
kid is really freaking good,
Yeah.
and they just keep winning. And he was
Hmm.
great at Cal. Like I remember it because I get the local games over here,
Yeah.
and he was really good. And but yeah, on the season, 1,200 yards passing, 16 touchdowns, only one pick. And he beat down Illinois, destroyed
Yeah.
them this past week, beat a really good Iowa team that has a good
Hmm.
defense.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's a name to kind of watch in my opinion.
Hmm.
Because QB competition that kind of meh. But next game looks like they have Oregon. That's going to be a hell of a game now.
That's gonna be a good game. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Or Oregon coming up with a big win against Penn State.
Yeah,
Um,
the whiteout.
yeah, the whiteout, but yeah, that's my thoughts with that trade. So,
Yeah, glad
whoever
they
said that's my thought. Like I said, but do
Nathan.
what you feel best, Nathan. If they offer you someone better, like I say, someone other than Alvin Kamara, if you could get a higher wide receiver, if you need wide receiver help or wherever you need help, then maybe it's worth it. but
Mhm.
I don't know. I would just hold off. I think Judkins, Hampton, great duo.
Absolutely. And it's they're fresh legs. Like they're both
Hmm.
rookies.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're getting a ton of carries and touches.
Yeah.
So, no, I agree with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So yeah, Nathan, I'd stick with what you got if you got that Hampton side. If you don't, then maybe go for it. Then accept the trade.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's a risk worth taking.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, other cases in the NFL, Rams, Colts finally lost, kind of came
Hmm.
back to earth randomly. Um, how do you, question, how do you feel about doubleheader Monday Night Football?
I hate it.
Yeah,
I
I'm not
hate
a
it.
fan either.
It's not a fan.
No.
And especially the games. Like I say, I know they get announced earlier. Yeah, if Joe Burrow was playing, it probably would have been a lot better game. Jets, Dolphins, both 0-3 teams, both really bad defenses today. Um, like I say, it's double headers. I think they need to get away with on Monday nights. Just keep it a one game. So
Yeah. Those games sucked. They were
yeah,
not competitive,
yeah,
you
very,
know?
very bad games. Wasn't a big fan. Um, one thing, Packers, they're
Hmm.
they're make believers. I don't think they're. I'm not a believer in them after this game against the
Yep.
Cowboys. The way they weren't able to stop them. You let Dax without CD Lamb do what they did. Uh yeah, don't be calling Super Bowl the way you guys have been after the first two games of this year.
It's a valid take. Yeah, no, I agree. Make believers back-to-back weeks of just bleh. Like that
Hmm.
defense doesn't look as great anymore.
Yeah.
Ties are stupid.
Yeah.
I don't like
That
ties.
that's another thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like ties. That was really lame.
Yeah.
But yeah, you tie to a team like the Cowboys, which should have been very beatable,
Hmm.
for, people calling them Super Bowl contenders.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was really, really lame. Uh,
Yeah.
Bears though, NFC North, like Bears back-to-back wins. I think that, maybe Caleb, all he needed was just a good coach. And certainly seems like he has it now with Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson, um, he gets a little psycho. Have you
He
noticed like
does.
his facial expressions? Like he'll go like,
Yeah.
and then just like stare up and then like zone out. Like,
Yeah.
man, that guy, whatever it takes to get locked in, honestly. And quite frankly, if Kyle Shanahan got a little psycho like that, I'd probably
Yeah.
appreciate it.
It
I think
could,
it's
yeah.
good.
Could be doing a little bit better. But yeah. No. Liking what I'm seeing from the Bears. I think there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but
Oh yeah.
they're creeping up, and Caleb Williams is looking legit. Not top tier at the moment, but he's making strides into a positive quarterback
Hmm.
compared to where he was going the first few games. So it might have just taken a few games to get this team rolling. So we'll
Yeah.
continue to see. Odunze, I think we called it. He was going to have an
Oh
amazing
yeah.
season, and he's already
He's great.
pissed we weren't able to get him. So,
Yeah.
and then our guy that we did get, Emeka,
Ibuka. Oh man, he's so
Egbuka.
freaking good.
This
Oh,
guy,
that throw and catch. Oof.
yeah,
Cooking.
this guy is stepping up. And like I say, people can say I'm a bandwagoner, but if you look back at the tape of our recordings, even before the draft, I mentioned Igbuka, the top
Hmm.
wide receiver. Like I say, I wish he would have fallen to the Ravens because I think he would have done a lot. I truly thought he was going to fall to the Chargers, and I thought that was going to
Hmm.
be an amazing place for him because, like I said, with
Oh yeah.
McConkey, that would have been an amazing duo. But the Bucks, they got someone good in
Hmm.
Igbuka.
Oh yeah. No, it was great. And you can't be a bandwagoner when you're supporting the team with your hot
Yeah,
take for the
my
year.
hot take.
Uh and I think about it every week because you know I was on NFL Shop looking for cheap Patriots jerseys yesterday. Being like after that win, I'm like, fuck, I love my take right now.
Yeah,
Bills obviously are great.
yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah,
there's a chance like
there is
that.
a chance. And I got this like way before he
Ayo,
broke
look at
up.
that.
So
Hell
like,
yeah.
and the Buka
Badass.
autographed, it's going in the
Great.
PC. So
Oh
like I
yeah.
say, it's I like him as a player. I liked him in college. Thought he was going to be a great NFL player, and he's showing up. So let's hope he
Yep.
continues it. Great guy, I think too. Just from what I've seen,
Hmm.
interviews and that. So, um, yeah, but that's like I said, we've talked quite a bit about NFL. Anything else NFL stand out to you, Tim, this
Mm,
week?
no, I offenses still could get better. I'm
Yeah,
just really unimpressed with a lot of quarterback play.
yeah.
I don't know. I just
More higher scoring games, more competitive games. So
yeah.
offenses are picking it up, but yeah, it's still like I say, Justin Fields. I like him,
Yeah.
but no, not an NFL quarterback. Great
No,
running
he's
back
not.
though. Great running back.
He is. That he is. Athletic, but yeah, nah, just I think at this point, different teams, nothing's working, different coaches.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
bud.
yeah. So, but yeah, that's you could say NFL. Let me see what my other notes. Um, oh, one of the other things I saw, just quick.
Hmm.
Ryan Clark, guy,
Oh God.
guy needs he has a platform like we do, so I can't really talk smack because some people probably think the same. But the one thing he said that Baltimore would he would have a lot more confidence in us winning a Super Bowl if Kyler Murray was our quarterback.
Yep.
And that is the most dumbest take in my mind. I haven't seen Kyler Murray do what Lamar Jackson's been able to do. And like I said, Lamar Jackson was doing what he's doing before he even had some of the players, before he had Derrick Henry, before Mark Andrews really blew up, before Zay Flowers. He was doing it with nobody, and I don't see Kyler Murray doing close to what he's doing. So I don't know. Ryan Clark's just clickbaiting us, got me this week with that take, but that guy's just nonsense at times.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I mean it's at this point you're comparing the highest passer rating quarterback of all time versus a guy who's trying to, fight for his next contract at this point.
Yep.
So, yeah, no, this Ryan Clark, your hot takes get attention. We'll put it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, big attention this week from
Hmm.
me. I try not to give him too much of my attention, but he got me this time.
He did.
Um and I think one of the last things with NFL Super
Mhm.
Bowl halftime show was announced. Bad Bunny gonna be halftime show.
Oh
Uh
yeah.
I'm excited, but I'm seeing a lot of different takes. A lot of people have different feelings about it. Uh what are your personal thoughts, Tim, with Bad Bunny performing Super Bowl?
I love it. I love Bad Bunny. I think it's awesome. Super catchy songs constantly, mainstream, radio, and everybody knows them. I think possible collaborations are maybe there too. I don't know
Yeah.
if we're going to get Drake at the Super Bowl, which
Hmm.
I think would be honestly kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Because Kendrick was last year. We brought up the take of, if
Drake, Super
Drake
Bowl.
were to, yeah.
Hmm.
So, here's a leeway into it because he's
Hmm.
collabed with Bad Bunny several times. So, possibility, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I love it. I'm a big Bad Bunny fan.
Hmm.
I think he's awesome. Just would be funny if, no, I won't go there. Well, maybe I will. Chiefs, I'm not planning on them making the Super Bowl, or the playoffs in general, but you know, Kelsey, they, starred in a movie together. I don't know, invite him on stage somehow. I
Yeah.
don't know. But no,
We'll see.
in general, sorry, I just had to bring that up. Yeah, no, awesome. I think it's a great
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah. No, I honestly, when I heard it, I liked it. I thought a lot more people were going to be psyched about it. I think there are a lot of people excited about it. Did we mention Bad Bunny when we were discussing? possible Super Bowl performances.
I
I
feel like we might have in collaboration with the Taylor Swift
maybe
performance,
that's what
but
I
I know we definitely brought up Bad Bunny in regards to Coachella.
Coachella. Okay. Yeah,
Hmm.
I wasn't sure if it was I know we discussed it Coachella, but I wasn't sure if we discussed Super Bowl. But I'm a fan of it. I think a lot of people know his songs. Some of the controversy, I don't know if you've seen heard it, but a lot of people saying he only plays Spanish music, he doesn't play English music.
So,
In my mind, that shouldn't matter at all. It's music.
no.
He's a big artist. Everybody knows him. You know who Bad Bunny is. You know his songs. You probably have vibed out to his songs. Yes, you might not know it, but sometimes it's about the beats. It's about the beats and the environment, and Bad Bunny is going to bring a fun environment. I think there's a lot of people making it political statements, which I think it's sort of the one thing you shouldn't be doing with sports. And like I said, we don't get into it too much and not going to touch on it too much, but I think it just needs to stop.
Hmm.
It is what it is. If you really aren't going to watch the Super Bowl for it because of it, don't watch the Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to really care that you're not watching it. I still think it's going to be one of the most watched Super Bowls just the way every year is. So losing a few people because it's Bad Bunny, NFL probably doesn't really care. They're still making their money. They're making their bag.
Hmm.
But one of the things I heard, and I don't know if you've heard it, on possible marketing and why they picked Bad Bunny, and this comes from, I'm going to give credit to a TikToker, Don Ches. I saw his post, and this is a possible reason why they chose Bad Bunny. So Bad Bunny, this halftime show is presented by Apple, and Apple's coming out with their AirPod Pros 3, and they have live translation. So they're saying that
Mm.
this is going to sort of show it in a worldwide stage how their Apple AirPod Pros 3 translation service is probably one of the best translation live translation tools to use. So if you travel, you'll be able to translate what people say to you, in different languages. So I'm thinking if that's the case, everybody in that stadium's getting a pair of AirPod Pro 3s, because if they want to sort of try that out and show everybody, hey, this is how our product works, you'll understand everything Bad Bunny's saying. It'll be pretty cool.
It's badass in my opinion. And I mean, it only makes sense because it's going to be here at Santa Clara, the hub of Apple.
Apple
Um,
Tech Industries.
Tech, yeah, tech in general. I think that's amazing. I think that sounds really cool.
Hmm.
Quite frankly, I think the same folks who might be not liking Bad Bunny performing are probably the same folks that didn't like Kendrick Lamar last year.
Hmm.
You know, if you want AC/DC, I mean, cool, we could probably get him back sometime, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think Bad
Hmm.
Bunny's gonna be great. And if advertisements wouldn't surprise me for the Super Bowl as well.
Hmm.
And again, maybe it's a super useful tool. I mean, I can only imagine. Like, I have hopes and dreams of going to Japan one day, with the
Hmm.
family. So, if that's truly what and they're effective and they work well, the Apple,
Yeah.
what is the AirPod threes?
AirPod
If
AirPod Pro 3s.
if they're effective, tremendous for Japan,
Yeah.
tremendous for any foreign country you travel
Hmm.
to. So it's the world.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
Cool for me.
it'll be very awesome because we talked about it here a long time ago. Theme parks, the theme
Yeah,
parks
there you
in
go.
other countries, all
Mhm.
all the languages in that home country language, French, uh, Japanese, Chinese, wherever that theme park is. And I was always
Mhm.
wondering, like, how would we understand those that don't speak that language really well? And I'm like, if this actually works and they show it on that worldwide stage, I'd probably buy a pair just to have it in case I ever do travel to those countries.
Hell yeah. No, perfect. Sounds great to me. But yeah, if that's truly what it is, yeah, regardless, it sounds like a great marketing
Hmm.
campaign because I already want to buy them.
Yeah.
And then getting Bad Bunny on top of that, I
Yeah.
he's a vibe. Like, he's great.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
funny.
yeah, the tickets are gonna sell for high prices because I don't think Bad Bunny's performing at all this year in the States, so this is his one show.
You're right.
Uh, Everybody's gonna want to go. So,
Yep.
like I say, marketing wise, to make money based off what a business is supposed to do, they're doing the right thing.
Hmm.
They're doing a smart thing, in my opinion. Others may think otherwise, but hey,
Yeah.
that's what I think. But yeah, just a little bit NFL Bad Bunny. Like I say, as time comes down, when we get closer to the Super Bowl, we'll predict our song list. I think we got pretty close to it last year. I think we had
Yeah.
one commenter that pretty much almost, I think just by the closing song, got it wrong, huh? I
I
think
think that's it, but nailed it. Like just
nailed
like
everything.
I think they worked for Kendrick
Bro,
Lamar
it
somehow.
probably was Kendrick Lamar's team.
Yeah,
That
it was
comment.
badass. Yeah, that was a great
Yeah.
guess,
So
if it
so
was
so
one.
we'll, yeah, so we'll do that closer. But that's NFL talk. And next we'll go into the next major sport. MLB postseason picture. It's set and it's pretty much what we discussed last week.
Hmm.
Uh, the Mets big, big fail to
Oh
be able
yeah.
to make it. They had the Miami Marlins and they weren't able to capitalize. Since he also didn't capitalize against I think they were playing the Brewers, or someone. I think it was the Brewers, but the Mets. I think the biggest fail talk of this postseason after their good month of really getting into having a winning record and then just losing. Um,
Yep.
Big disappointment, but it,
Oh yeah, truly. No, that was astronomical. I think they had the
hmm
best record through June, if I'm not mistaken.
hmm
And then, they went way under 500 to finish off the year.
yeah,
And third highest payroll in baseball, below the
yep,
Yankees and Dodgers. So,
hmm
to not make it, you spend all that money for Soto, and
yeah,
Lindor's, gets paid a fortune as well.
Mhm.
Already after all this too, John, Pete Alonso has decided to, test free agency,
Yes,
which, remember, I had the dream about Pete Alonso coming to the
I
Giants.
remember. I
Now's our
remember.
chance. Let's capitalize, Buster. So let's see.
Mhm.
Not surprised. I think that's just a debacle of a franchise at this
Yeah,
point, and they need to, work on something else. Um, but yeah, no, that was disastrous. But again, I feel like the playoff picture and what it is now, is much of what we thought it was going to be.
yeah,
AL Guardians came out of freaking nowhere. Like we had the
yeah,
podcast last week, they were beating the Tigers
yeah.
and, going up and getting a spot. And this was a team that, I saw, I don't know if I sent it to you. I should have if I didn't. Where they correlated the Cleveland Guardians to the movie Major League,
hmm
and they correlated certain scenes to what the record was
Yeah,
throughout the season. And then, at the end, they're like, oh, they 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 made it happen. And that's
yeah.
exactly what happened. So they got the 3 seed over the Tigers by taking that division. And then winner of that will go face the Mariners.
hmm
I mean, right away in the AL East, Red Sox, Yankees. Just, I love it.
Yeah.
What a way to start.
It's gonna be a great series. Um, you can't deny the Yankees. They're a solid team. I think Red Sox pitching is a little bit better in my opinion. But
Hmm.
hitting the Yankees just have it. Um, but Red Sox have the season series over them, so we'll see if they could continue that momentum against the Yankees. But it's gonna be a great series.
That was gonna be great. I haven't seen it yet, but is Roman Anthony gonna be made available,
No,
or is he's
I think
done,
he's still
right?
out. Yeah, still down.
Okay. Bummer, because obviously he was gonna be,
hmm
a big name to watch. But still, incredible team around it.
Yeah.
Jaron Duran, Yoshida's
Yeah.
back.
hmm
Big hit by wasn't it Rafaela,
Yeah.
who had the
Rafaela.
game winning triple, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Yeah.
They're great.
Bregman's solid.
Bregman.
Trevor Story has stepped up a little bit more towards the end of the season. So
Yep.
like I said, they have a squad to be able to make a nice run. But the Yankees is a tough matchup. Because like I
Oh
said,
yeah.
Yankees pitching is still pretty solid and they're hitting. They got and we'll sort of talk about it. The most likely MVP of the AL, Aaron Judge.
Yep. Yep. No, that's a big talking point right now
Hmm.
between him and Cal Raleigh, which,
Yeah.
Cal Raleigh, tremendous season, got to his number 60
Hmm.
in a very theatrical way. I think that,
Yeah.
just watching that home run, it was just what encapsulates what's great about baseball.
Hmm.
Fans getting into it, I saw like a million different POVs of that home run. I thought
Yeah.
that was truly awesome. Historical season for a catcher to do it. Um, but again, if you look at categories, you look at, games that Judge missed. He had an IL stint this
Hmm.
year. Um, and he was still able to hit what 53, 54 home
53.
runs, lead the AL in average, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm. 331.
Good Lord. I mean, it's hard to deny that.
Yeah.
He's been nothing short of incredible. But the only other thing that you factor in is positional play.
Hmm.
Judge does it a lot from DH. Obviously had the elbow injury, played a lot
Hmm.
of outfield too. And again, I'm not trying to talk up Cal Raleigh too much here, but he's doing it also in a tougher ballpark to hit home runs in.
Hmm.
Seattle's not easy to do. Weather elements there
Yeah.
make it really difficult. But again, really wouldn't be surprised if Judge takes it.
Yeah.
I think Yankees win that against the Red Sox.
Hmm.
Then they go on, take on the Blue Jays, which I think they'll be fully healthy by then. I think there was some talk of um, Bo Bichette
Oh,
coming
yeah.
back.
Hmm.
So, and then Seattle, I don't know, Guardians, Tigers could be a great series too.
That's gonna be great. I think that pitching matchup there is gonna be good. It's
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
be based on hitting. Screwball, I'm excited to see him pitch in
Yep.
the postseason.
Absolutely. And great hitters with the Guardians.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's going to be awesome. And then those series to follow up. And it's nice to see some different names in here.
Hmm.
I'm sure, especially you as a Dodger fan, John, are thrilled to not see the Astros make the playoffs for the first time in several
I
years.
I was excited.
As is
They
a
got
lot of baseball, I
yeah.
think, because nobody likes the cheater. Um, Except steroids. I think steroid area is okay. That's not really cheating, in my opinion. But yeah, AL,
Hmm.
I, I think it's awesome. Great way to start for both series. I think it's
Yeah.
gonna be a great watch for both. Those games already start tomorrow.
Hmm.
So super excited. And then NL, same thing. Games start tomorrow. We
Yep.
start off with Reds Dodgers. I think the Dodgers got who they wanted to face right away. I honestly. I feel like a playoff Met team would have been tougher than
Hmm.
you guys facing the Reds, even though
Yeah.
the Reds do have a good pitching staff.
Yeah. Yeah. The Reds have a great pitching staff. I think as long as we have our bats and we sort of ended the season decently with our bats, I think we'll be okay. We have a good pitching rotation. I think we got Snell. Um, I forget who. I don't know why I always blank out.
How
But
much are
then
you
we
going to
have
use Otani?
pitching game three, possible if we need a game three. Starting pitcher already
Okay.
announced. Or game one of the Philly series if we don't need him.
Okay.
Um,
Very good.
Kurt Kershaw's not on
Yamamoto.
the lineup. Yamamoto's number two. He's our number two pitcher for this series.
Glass now is healthy, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Kershaw's not on the pitching on the team for the wild card, but he will be available if we get past the Reds. But the Reds pitching is a scary team. But after that, I think we have the bats to sort of be able to manage it. So I think we should be able to win this series, but it's playoff baseball. Like I say, the Reds are coming off of losing and barely squeezing in, thanks to the Marlins. So um, they got to build their confidence a little bit quicker, where we already have been set for quite a while. But I see the Dodgers winning that, and then Padres Cubs will be a great series.
Mm-hmm.
I see the
That'd be
Cubs taking it. I see the Cubbies taking it in three.
Mm-hmm. hmm I do too. I think Cubs pitching, hitting, I think it's all there. And then
Yeah,
fan support. Cubs get home field advantage for this.
yeah,
It's going to be tough to go to Wrigley and try to win.
hmm yeah,
Just plain and simple. Wrigley, shows up and shows out.
yeah,
Like it's a wild fan base. And
yeah.
then for baseball, why would you not want Brewers Cubs?
Yes.
Like, oh man, that's going to be a freaking series right there. Oh man,
Yeah,
rivals doesn't
yeah.
beat it.
No, that'll be good. I think Cubs have more consistent hitting than the Padres. I think Padres have a great rotation in hitting, but the Cubbies, I think they're just more consistent. I think they hit a lot better than the Padres do. So that could
hmm
be the downfall for the Padres. But Padres, like I say, you can never really count them out. But the
Sure.
Cubs, I think this year are a lot better of a team.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, they're stacked and they have a lot of great hitting and
Hmm.
pitching to back it up. I think bullpen wise might be a little rough for the Cubs. I'm not, I haven't stuck
Yeah.
up too much with it, but the Brewer series could prove to be a lot tougher. In my opinion, though, like since we've gone over all the series here, John,
Mhm.
I think as far as AL goes, I think the first series are a little bit more entertaining in my eyes compared to the NL. But once it gets to the next round,
Yeah.
I think the NL takes the cake
Oh
because
yeah.
you're going to have either Tigers, Guardians versus Mariners, and then you're either going to have Red Sox, Yankees versus Blue Jays. But when you go to the NL, you're going to have most likely Dodgers, Phillies.
Which
That's going to be incredible.
that's gonna be good.
And then
And
you're going to have hopefully Cubs Brewers because
yeah,
this podcast is we have no fun with Padres at all. They
yeah,
suck. So yeah, we that's what we want, and I think that's what the general public minus San Diego wants.
yeah, yeah. I don't know why TikTok algorithms, and it's probably because of all the shit talking I do. There's
Mhm.
all these predictions, and everybody has the Padres going to the World Series, and then I always click on their profile, and I'm like, "You're a Padres fan," and I just laugh at them. I'm like, "Really? Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Like, you guys might be able to make it past the Cubbies."
hmm
Brewers, I think will be a tough matchup for them. Um, but I
Yep.
don't think they'll get past Phillies or LA, any of those teams,
Yeah.
if they get past the first two. They'll make it to the NLCS, but they're gonna lose it. So
hmm Yeah.
but we'll see. Like I say, that's the one thing about these playoffs and baseball playoffs is you never know who can make it and
Yeah.
who's gonna make that run. It could be we might see the Reds in the World Series. What was it a few years ago? We saw was it the Diamondbacks that made that run
Yeah. Last year,
when,
right? Or
or
was it two
no,
years ago? Two
two
years
years
ago.
ago. Yeah,
Yep.
where
My
nobody
bad.
really
Two
thought
years
that
ago.
they were gonna make it or even make that type of run, and look what they
Yep.
did. So it's like Kevin Garnett said, anything is possible.
Yeah. Jason Tatum said that too.
Yeah. He did. Said it a
Copycat.
little differently.
It's a little different. A little
Yeah.
bit more awkward. But yeah, no, completely agree. Yeah, and when it comes to the Padres, it's funny that you bring up the algorithm because
Hmm.
lately the video that we had with your review of Petco Park saying
Hmm.
great stadium, lousy team, get rid of your make believe banners,
Yeah.
like your consolation prize banners. Um, that has gotten
Oh,
some
really?
likes this past
Oh,
week.
wow.
It had a rejuvenation, I think, because of playoff baseball.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably a lot of Dodger fans liking it, but all likes, no crap talking, nothing. It
No.
was it was likes. So great stuff.
It's
Playoff baseball.
it's all honest, truth. I think they
Yeah.
just hung up their banner for a wild card berth, this past week.
Yeah.
Great job, you
Yeah.
guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
participation trophies for you.
No, even the
Enjoy it.
reporters don't believe it too, John. Like that Manny Machado interview. I'm sorry. Like I get the celebrations, that's totally fine. Like you made the playoffs, congratulations. But like if you have your own reporters doubting you saying like, "Oh, we could still win the division," like can you?
Can't
Really?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like no, just stop. Stop.
It's just embarrassing. It's
Yeah.
like, dude, just accept the wild card. It's okay. It's okay.
You're
The
in it.
Cubs are a good team. You're
We're in the
playing
wild
against good.
card too. We
Yeah,
accepted it.
it's all
Division
good.
winners though, so we have that one up on you guys. But
Yeah.
no, I'm excited. I'm excited for playoff baseball. It's the one time I really watch baseball a lot. It's always so hard though with work because I think it starts at 10 or
Yes.
11 tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So
they're all early games. Yep.
yeah, so but still gonna be good to watch. It'll be fun.
Hmm.
Um, and by the time we record our next show, we'll probably already be in the ALDS. I think we'll know the next matchups
Yeah.
because it's a
Three
three
game
game
series,
series.
right?
Hmm.
Yep.
So,
Right.
but that's baseball. I think my take with Cal Raleigh, Aaron Judge. I think it's gonna go to Judge just because of his position, what he does for the team, his stats as well. I pulled them
Hmm.
up like we mentioned, average 3.31 for Judge versus 2.46 for Raleigh. Home runs, yes, it's Raleigh. RBIs, Raleigh, but only by nine, 114 to 125, so very close. OPS, honestly, I have no idea what OPS is, but Aaron Judge is higher, 1.149 versus 0.948.
Hmm.
Hit wise, Judge is more consistent, 178 versus 146. Stolen bases, like I say, Cal Raleigh for a catcher stole 14 compared to Judge's
That's pretty good.
12. F4, I hear a lot about it. 10.1 for Judge, 9.1 for Raleigh, and OPS 215 for Judge, 171 for Raleigh. So
Hmm.
I say Judge, nothing against what he did. I think it's gonna be him. I don't know baseball that well where I could sort of talk about the positions, but I have read a lot that there's a lot about a catcher position that doesn't get measured that sort of should be taken into account, but most likely won't be because that's not how they vote for this.
Hmm.
So I'm sort of thinking like it should be a new way of thinking, but I know baseball is very old school and stick to the old rules, to the analytic. Well, they don't like the analytics. They like to say old school baseball.
Hmm.
So because of that, I think it's just gonna go to Judge, even though Raleigh had a great year and did amazing things. And look where Seattle is. You have to give some of that to Raleigh.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna go on the contrary, John, where
Yeah.
I think Judge, again, I said earlier, I won't be surprised if he wins it.
Yeah.
Statistically putting up the better numbers. But
Hmm.
I played catcher in high school. I know how rigorous it is. My knees still feel it. Like my knees are jacked. Um, but like for him to hit 60 home runs
Hmm.
from the catcher position is truly incredible. And then if you take this is where the measurables are, I brought up ballparks and
Hmm.
just,
Yeah.
the difference between having your home field be the short porch of Yankee Stadium. Again, maybe that's probably not even a factor with Aaron Judge because
Yeah.
that dude hits absolute nukes every time he hits a home run that will go out in any ballpark.
Yeah.
But just Seattle's a tough place to hit home
Hmm.
runs. And then if you take what Cal Raleigh, because you have to attribute him to the success of what
Yeah.
Seattle has become. Like he's a huge part of that. And Seattle hasn't been in this position in forever. Like
Hmm.
like it's you have to date yourself back to Edgar Martinez, Brett Boone era
Yeah.
for you really research Seattle success. Ken Griffey, Randy Johnson days, like way back. So the difference that he has made is tremendous.
Hmm.
Yankees have a lot of talent around, but again, Judge is obviously a lot to, come into play with that too. But I don't know if you want to if the league wants to look a little bit different, go outside the
Hmm.
box with statistics and kind of attribute what he's done as a catcher. I think Cal Raleigh deserves it.
Yeah. I would want Cal Raleigh to win it. I think he's done a lot. Like I said, Seattle, they're the number two seed. He has to be a key factor, and I think Raleigh too only missed three. he only missed a handful of games, and that's just due to maintenance. Compare
Hmm.
where Aaron Judge was injured, got hurt. So he made a big difference. And yeah, the catcher position looks pretty difficult. Like I say, I never played the sport, so I don't know. I always felt like outfield probably was a little bit of an easier position, but like I say, this is just someone that doesn't play baseball that probably sucks at it, would probably never even make a team or hit a ball. But like I say, Raleigh, I would want him to win it, but I just from what I'm reading, it seems like it's going to be judged because of all the statistics and meters and metrics that they look at. And,
Hmm.
for a catcher, there's some metrics that they don't look at closely, or there is no metrics for it that you can't really measure. And that I think is going to be the driving factor, but hopefully not. We'll see if
Hmm.
there's a change.
There's no wrong answer either. Like both
Yeah.
seasons are absolutely incredible. So,
Yeah.
each individual is very deserving of it. So, great
Yeah.
success on both teams as well. It's not like they just went crazy with
Oh,
statistics
yeah.
and with a lousy team. So,
Yeah.
both made the playoffs, both have achieved,
Hmm.
tremendous,
Yeah. Yeah.
feats. So,
Yeah, and this is updated today from Fox Sports AL NL odds. So Judge is favored by minus 330, where Raleigh's at plus 250. So it's
mhm,
still very close with those type of odds. It's a
sure.
toss up still. National League, Shohei Ohtani, minus 50,000.
Oh,
Seems like they've already decided who's winning
woo.
that. You
Yeah.
know, Kyle Schwarber. Schwarber had a great year though, too.
Phenomenal.
Plus 1,600. And then
Wow.
Juan Soto, plus
Uh,
8,000. If he would have made the playoffs and done a little bit better at the end, he might have been a little higher. But I still
yeah,
think Otani probably does get it. Consistent hitter, and I think his two-way playing is what's sort of putting that extra odds for him.
definitely. He came around with pitching a lot this year too. Like he started off a little
Hmm.
sluggish, but
Yeah,
the talent bled through. But Schwarber, again, like
yeah,
phenomenal year. Best
yeah,
year of his career.
yeah. So, yeah, that's baseball. Like I said, we're excited. We talk a bit of baseball. Tim's the baseball expert here. I'm learning a lot more about it, but postseason. It's
It's the
here.
best
We're
time of year.
excited. Enjoy it. But we'll go on to another major sport and we'll talk a little bit about it. Golf and some Ryder Cup drama. This past weekend was the Ryder Cup where it's Team USA versus Team Europe and a lot of controversy. And big reasons is, the Ryder Cup was held in the States this year. Uh, I know it's every other year and it's usually picked different places. There's places in Europe, but a lot of heckling, a lot of shit talking to Rory McIlroy and Team Europe from a lot of US fans, and Rory was not happy. I sent you a few videos of his interviews, post interviews of how he's feeling, saying he's never going to come to America for another tournament. How I took a note. Let's see what he says. Rory not accepting of this behavior from the past week and from the Ryder Cup. One of the things that sort of stood out, he says that golf should be held at to the higher standard, and I'm just like, what makes golf better than every other sport?
Mhm.
Because it's a country club sport, so for me, I get a little bit about it. Some of the stuff that did happen, I am very against, where you're throwing stuff at his wife, throwing drinks at the wife, talking shit to I this is what I heard and read a bit. They were talking shit, cussing at his kids and his wife, where I'm like,
Mhm.
that shouldn't be happening. Do it towards him. He's the athlete, not the the spouses, the kids, the family.
Mhm.
Um, but I think we talked about it a little bit. How would it go if it got a little rowdy? And we can see golf doesn't really like it. The golf players.
Yeah, they don't like, one of our takes previously was, let them get a little rowdy, let them get a
Hmm.
little crazy, and start chanting and not have to be ultra quiet,
Yeah.
during hits. In we're not shy to see Rory, fight back with fans
Hmm.
or, others, on the golf course. He's very outspoken. I think at one point, like he took a college golfer's phone earlier this
Hmm.
year. And he's faced a lot of backlash regarding,
Yeah.
how I don't know, country clubbish he gets,
Hmm.
if you want to put it that way. But, I don't fault him for, his reactions to fans that are, you know, jabbing at, his wife and kiddos. Like it's messed up. They have no involvement in it.
Hmm.
Like leave them out. Like there's no point. They're just there to watch, their husband
Hmm.
or, father,
Yeah.
compete in such a big tournament. But I think what kind of gets to Rory is just, he's had these occasions where his altercations with fans or others aren't great, and it's happened a lot over the last couple of years. And I don't know. There's been a lot of speculation that he's taken a lot of the burden of the live golf fiasco with,
Hmm.
PGA, for example. Like, he was trying to be a spokesman for the PGA and
Yeah.
not, totally going against live and what it stands for, blah blah blah. And I don't know if it was just the overwhelming stress of that has been a lot of talk lately. But kind of coinciding, you look at the Waste Management Open, for example,
Yeah.
in Scottsdale. That tournament in general is just a booze fest. Go crazy, rush, the greens. The
Hmm.
18th hole at the Waste Management Open is electric.
Yeah.
Like it is a scene, and that's just I think how sometimes these tournaments get down. But they should be able to face the noise. Like they're professionals. Like they get paid millions upon
Yeah.
millions. Keep the wife and kids out of it. Like
Yeah.
that's some BS.
Yeah.
Totally. But like him as an individual,
Hmm.
come on, man.
Yeah.
Like this is like Olympic golf in a way. Like it's countries battling each other.
Yeah.
Like, come
Yeah.
on.
It's always more intense when it's countries going against each other,
Yeah.
and yeah, like I say, he gets paid millions. It's sort of part of every other sport where you get yelled at, you get heckled at, free
Mhm.
throws. Like I said, there's thousands of people in the back trying to make you miss. Like it's it's something that you should just be able to deal with and part of the sport. I know it's just the way it's always been, where you're always quiet, during their backswing and not saying anything, not heckling. But this could sort of be a change to the sport. Who knows? We'll see what the backlash is, how it goes from here. And the other thing, Rory McIlroy, top golf player, you're getting
Mhm.
booed and talk like this because people here in the States don't want Team Europe to win. They want Team USA to win, and because you're probably one of the best golfers at this moment, you're gonna be hated. It happens to LeBron all the time. It happens to these top players every single time. Take it as a compliment. They're doing this because they know how good you are and they know you could defeat them.
Yeah, totally. Like, I'm sure for the World Baseball Classic, like everybody was going against Shohei
Yeah.
Ohtani, Dodger fans included. Like it's
Hmm.
just the time of year and
Yeah.
but then, Ohtani puts on the Dodger uniform and everybody loves him again.
Yep.
The love doesn't stop. So the more heckling you get, you should probably see it as a
Yeah.
boost of confidence in a way of
Yeah.
like, yeah, they're booing me for a reason. Like,
Hmm.
they just won the Masters. I'm top dog here. Like, people are trying to get under my skin. That's just part of the game. Um, so I don't know. And they did ultimately end up winning. Obviously,
Yeah.
they beat the U.S. On our soil.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. It's just you got to take it because it just kind of I don't know. It mounts a different way. But again, the stuff about his wife and kids,
Yeah.
stupid BS. Like
Yeah.
I'm keeping
That
that out
that
of it.
that shouldn't have happened. The heckling, the smack talking, I think that was fine. You know, well, yeah, maybe not during the backswing because it is a little bit more of a concentrated sport. But like I said, in baseball, it's the same thing. You have to hit a 90 to 100 plus mile per hour baseball with people
Mhm.
yelling at you, talking smack, and you just got to do it. You got to learn how to focus out all the noise and just focus on your craft. It's a mental
For
game.
sure. It's a mental game. Yeah. It's just all part of it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Fun tournament. A lot of news regarding it.
Yeah.
I think every year it's a ton of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It's made me look into golf a little bit more. I still have never played it. I just like baseball, I probably suck at this sport, but maybe it's something I'll try. I know there's a few of our buddies that are into golf, so hey,
Yeah. I'm
maybe
brutal.
yeah, maybe I'll give it a shot. So start doing a little bit of it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, no, it's I think it's worth a shot. Yeah, and it's fun. I think it's one of those sports that like if you're really good at it, it's so much fun. Like you
Yeah,
probably want to
probably.
get out there every day. A
Yeah,
lot of time
but
and
where
effort though.
where where you suck, you're probably like, I just want to go get drunk
Pretty
and
much.
hang out.
Pretty much. Yeah. Go back to the driving range.
Yep.
Go to the clubhouse.
But yeah, that's a little bit of about golf, Ryder Cup. Like I say, it's just some big news. Wanted to talk a little bit about that. And we'll move away or moving away a little bit from sports, but man cave. So recently Tim shared a video, Devin Booker's man cave when
I show
who was it?
speed.
I Show Speed showed up, showed it off. And a little topic we started sort of discussing of what would we want our man cave to look like, because I think it's one of the goals for a lot of us. I think especially when you become a father figure or a father in
Yeah.
general, you want this space for yourself to go enjoy sports, to enjoy video games, to enjoy anything you have for those 1 to 2 hours that you have some freedom. Kids are asleep, taking a nap, kids are at school, they're at their soccer games, whatever, that you could do. But like for you, or with Devin Booker, some of the big highlights, he had a big old wall that looked like Foot Locker with all his
Oh
shoes
yeah.
and I think shoes that he wears. He had his car collection, a TV that felt like almost the size of a house, it looked like.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and
Golf
then
simulator.
yeah, that you needed it was a secret room, it was a hidden door to get to the golf simulator.
Oh yeah.
So sort of stirred up the question of what would you want in your man cave, Tim? What would be a few things?
Um, well, certainly memorabilia would be a big part of it. We've had this Jordan jersey as part of our, family for God, 20 plus years at this point. It's
Hmm.
something that would absolutely be a staple in there. Jordan's, one of my favorite players of all time, kind of highlighting stuff like that. But, also, having some type of bar setup is
Hmm.
absolutely necessary in my opinion. Whether you're a big booze person or not, I just think that just the vibe of it, I think is really cool. I like that lounge feel, that like I don't know, like inner city bar feel in my
Yeah.
opinion. I love that with the stools. Like, you're heading into a like How I Met Your Mother type of bar.
Hmm.
I really like that vibe. Kind of like underground basement type
Yeah.
bar. I think
Yeah.
that's super sick. Having that as a staple.
Hmm.
And then having that coincide with something like a golf simulator, I think is badass. I think that, it's a great way to at least practice your craft without having to go anywhere. The gaming setup is obviously necessary too. You have a corner for that. Things like billiards or,
Hmm.
some type of pool table setup or ping pong or air hockey. I think is a great staple to have too. But I think just another thing I really like those mini jumbotrons that you kind of get. Super sick. And you can
Yeah.
get that to drop over like, the top of your pool table. You could really
Yeah.
put it anywhere and it would just be a badass accent.
Hmm.
Some companies make those. Would be, freaking awesome. And then just some arcade games I think are
Hmm.
cool, like just having a little staples, gaming setup. Maybe that's something that needs to go elsewhere. You could put like the punching bag simulator. I
Yeah.
feel like everybody likes to smack those around. I don't know. This is the vibe I get. I think
Yeah.
that'd be super sick.
Yeah, no, I think you hit a lot of the points I would do. I think one of the big things for me would be that bar setup. just developing a bar that looks like you said, those, basement bars, those bars that have like the red brick showing, the brown brick,
Hmm.
almost from like that East Coast feeling,
Yeah.
because I think that's where you would see it a lot more. But having that type of bar, all the drinks, everything there, the stools, and then having some TVs behind it, so whoever's sitting at the bar hanging out gets to see some of the sports. I think the big thing for me would be like multiple TVs that, you could watch multiple games at a time. So like, Saturday college football, Sunday, March Madness, a place you could have multiple games on. And then if there's just one big game where the TV sort of combine and just make one big old screen,
Hmm.
something like that. And I thought the same thing, like a little ticker on top of the TV that sort of just is scrolling the whole time with all the sports scores,
Yep.
news, things like that would be cool to make it just seem very authentic, like a sports game. For me, I'd want something also like Devin Booker, like a shoe collection, like I say, because you can see behind me, I have a lot of shoes. I like shoes.
Hmm.
I wear all my shoes all the time. So somewhere to sort of display my shoes would be a big thing. And like you said, the memorabilia. And for me, it wouldn't just be sports because I also think like with the TV, I'd want a bunch of couches like Lazy Boys, or even just make it feel like a movie theater and also have it
Hmm.
like a movie room. If I ever want to watch a movie, just dim all the lights, make it dark, have that stage with the projector, being able to watch movies. And the memorabilia for me would be, from movie posters to sports, things
Yep.
like that. And then I'm not too into like the billiards. I don't know why. Like I'll play it when I go out with buddies. I think for me it'd be more just the arcade games, just having a bunch of old school arcade games,
Hmm.
NBA Jam, uh, what else? Like Killer
Blitz,
Instincts, Blitz,
Metal
the
Slug,
Simpsons, the Metal Slugs, the Simpsons, arcade
Simpsons. Oh
games,
yeah.
games like that I enjoyed as a kid, and that whenever we're all hanging out, we could just play a few games together, have fun, drinks before this game starts or during the game. So something like that, I think, is what my dream man cave would look like.
Total vibe. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
great. I've seen people on TikTok with it where they'll have like a movie theater in their house, but then outside of the movie theater room is you bring up a great point with like the movie posters and stuff
Hmm.
like that. But dude, like I've seen some where they have a full-on concession stand
Yeah, I've
and
seen
like
those.
they'll purposely like they'll go to like the Dollar Tree, for example, and get like those, box office candy
Yeah,
boxes, like the Bunch of Crunch, stuff like that.
yeah.
And then, you get like a popcorn machine.
Hmm.
So sick.
Yeah. It'll be
I think
fun.
that's badass. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's what I would want to do with the man cave if I ever get the chance to be able to do something like that, I will. I think, if we can make this podcast Banter on the Rocks be successful, we'll develop our studio in some sort of man cave and have a man
Oh
cave
yeah.
where we're doing our work, but also hanging out with everybody, watching our sports, getting our information for all the
Hmm.
content we do. But yeah, I think that's always a goal for us dads. And, once you become an adult and own a home or own something, is you want that man cave. And like I say, we love our families, we love our kids. We're not trying to say we need time away from them, but every now and then it's just a fun thing.
Yeah. If you can say you can go on to, go into work and enter a man cave while you do
Yeah.
it, like that
It's
sounds
worth
pretty
it.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then you need like a random basketball hoop on the wall, just,
Yeah.
to shoot every once in a while.
Yeah.
And then of course, we'd share it with the, it could be a family space
Hmm.
after, the reality release is
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
No shame in that too,
Yeah. Yeah. Just keep them away from the bar. We'll have a little door there that they can't enter the bar area.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, but
Yeah.
no, just seeing Devin Booker's man cave, I thought it was a good little small topic, and
Hmm.
I think after you seeing it too, John, like it's a big inspo for a lot of people because if you have like
Yeah.
your own Foot Locker on the wall with a lineup
That's
of cars,
awesome.
it's badass.
That's
Yeah.
very cool.
Yep.
Yeah. So no, yeah, let us know what you would want in your man cave, or for the women possibly listening to this, in your ladies' cave. I know Vera's always talked about that as well, you know.
Hmm.
It runs both ways, you know. I think everybody hears the man cave, but it also you can make a place for the wifey, a ladies' cave if you have the room,
Absolutely. Oh, totally.
you know.
Yeah. Can go both ways.
Yeah.
Whatever, it's a dream room and a,
Yeah.
full aspect of things.
Yeah. No, for sure. But that's what we got for today. As always, you know, we're always chatting here, going on for a while. Appreciate everybody that's listening to us live. You know, Nathan, hopefully the trade, you know, fantasy advice helped out. Always feel free to come to us. We enjoy talking all sports.
Yep.
Um, and as always, we're building something here with Banter on the Rocks, real talks, good laughs, and just many unfiltered takes. You know, please join us by subscribing on our YouTube channel, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And as always, just drop a comment. You know, leave us your takes on our banter takes, the good, the bad, whatever you think about it, and anything else you guys want to banter with us about.
Yes, thank you guys so much for listening as always. The input that you give us on, the TikTok lives, our videos that we put out there.
Hmm.
Good or bad disagreement. It's banter, it's in the name. It's exactly what we're
Yep.
here for. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch
Yeah.
and listen.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great week. Enjoy playoff baseball and
Oh yeah.
week 5, NFL.
Week 5.
We'll
Absolutely.
see ya.
Peace.